Warp markers offer exciting possibilities for stretching and shrinking your sound on a timeline. First, let's enable warp on our clip and ensure it's going to play back at our master BPM. For this example, I'm going to use warp markers to make a sound effect file of Water Drip's musical. I'm going to match it with a loop of violins that I have, and they're set to 120 BPM. Moving my mouse over the pseudo warp markers, I can double-click to create a marker. I can then move that marker left or right to sync it with the grid. I can repeat this process and create as many warp markers on the clip as I want. To remove warp markers, double-click on the warp marker. Here's an example of where snap to grid is helpful. Another important panel in the clip view area is the launch panel. We can access this by toggling the Show Hide Launch button here. In the launch panel, we'll notice three areas of importance to us in theater. The first is the launch mode area. This should be set by default to trigger. You can also specify this in your preferences as defined in the Preferred Preferences PDF. The trigger setting is important for theater use as it allows clips to play. Then, replay if we relaunch, and not be dependent on mouse up or down clicks. Although I suggest never using any other launch mode for theater playback, refer to the Ableton Live manual if you are curious of the other settings. The second area of importance to us is the launch quantization area. In our preferred preferences, we should have the default launch quantization set to none. This means that clips will have a default launch quantization of none and play instantly when triggered, regardless of the global launch quantization setting. We'll also revisit other options for clip launch quantization in the advanced musical playback tutorial. The third area of importance is the legato mode switch. In cue to cue, you will find yourself starting and stopping quite frequently to adjust, let other departments adjust, then rerun sequences. As such, we may be running a scene that has multiple cues fired throughout. They are actor-driven cues, meaning the timing between cues will change from night to night depending on the pace and performance of the actors. Here, we have three cues. The first cue is outdoor wind as heard from indoors. The second cue is music, triggered as an actor plays a record on stage. The third cue is a door knock from a practical speaker stage left, where the door on the set is. The execution of all three cues, factoring in the time between the launch of cues, may be as much as 3 minutes. Here, I will walk through all three cues in an expedited fashion. We run this the first time in cue to cue, Then the stage manager will ask everyone to stop while lighting asks for time to fix a few notes. When we resume again, the stage manager has decided to start from a place in the script where cues 1 and 2 would have already been launched, meaning we should start in a state of cue 2. This would mean we would have to launch cue 1 in order to have the wind playing, while we launch cue 2 so we can have the music playing. The more complex you get, the more cues you may have to fire to get set up. Here's where legato launch helps us. I will make a copy of the wind cue and paste it into the empty slot below. I will then turn on legato in the copied clip. When I launch the original wind cue, the playhead will start from the programmed start point. When I launch the copy with legato on, the playhead will start from the last known play position of the previous clip before it was interrupted. I will do the same for the wind and music over cue 3. Now, instead of having to launch cues 1 and 2 in order to be standing by in a state of cue 2 during cue to cue, I can just launch cue 2 and stand by. Clip start flags can also be given negative values. Here, I have a sound cue of rain outside and a door knock. We can offset the start point of the knock by giving it a negative value, effectively inserting silence before it. This way, we can let the rain establish before we hear the knocking.